Right at it. Right at it. Oh, he's done it again. Just as he did at the John Deere for his first win.
Alrighty, welcome to another episode, the 21st episode of the Go Get That podcast. Recapping the Farmers Insurance Open, another masterclass from me, definitely not Jordan, but from me, going 2 for 3 while the others continue. Jordan 0 for 12. Not great.
Just as bad as Jordan's golf this week, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much there is to. I mean, I don't know.
There's a bit.
Is it time to worry? I think there's a little cause for it. But at the same time, I don't know.
Well, I think first of all, I just wanted to. I've told a couple people because they've asked me why does he keep playing Torrey Pines, and I honestly thought after the U.S. Open last year when he was picking his schedule for this year, he thought, all right, I played well at the U.S. Open, so why not give this place one more try? I think after this week he's done. I don't see him going back after this week.
Yeah. I think in theory, it's like not a bad place for him. If he's hitting the driver well, I think because there's some long irons and he's usually a pretty good long iron player. You need a great short game. The short game was still magical, I guess was one of the positives this week. Out of very few. But in theory, I think it sets up well for him. And I think he believes that. And so I think that's why he keeps coming back. And then, the T20 at the US Open, the putter wasn't that good that week either. So I think he felt like he could come and contend. But then, it doesn't help that you have the stomach flu or stomach virus and you have to, in between rounds, go to the hospital.
Yeah, that obviously doesn't help, but I think at the same time, everyone's telling me, oh, he's got an excuse to use. He just sucked. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, he's never played well at Torrey Pines besides really the U.S. Open, and that was a T19. He didn't play well. Obviously, I mean, Torrey is one of the tougher walks on tour, so if he's got a stomach issue, it can't help. But I mean, he still did not play well.
No, there's no excuse for all of you Spieth fans. We love you, but there are Spieth fans who are super negative. I know some of those. They're the Spieth fans that are extremely positive, and they're the Spieth fans who are realists with a slight tint of negativity, like me.
Slight hint.
I hate to upset you, but that is not an excuse for how he played this week. He played horrible.
I kind of disagree.
We can get to you later, but
I can see where you're going on that, Dan. I can see where you're going on that, Dan. If you want to talk about it a little bit.
Let's
let Dan go, because I don't know. Let him go, because I agree with him.
But I don't have much on this, but it's just I don't know. He went to the hospital. I feel like there's not.
I don't want to hear.
He doesn't play Torrey that well anyway. How many times have you gone to the hospital in the middle of the night and then tried to play 18 holes of competitive golf while walking a couple miles? And I'm not trying to say it's an excuse for the overall way in which it kind of happened, but I think the setup to say that it didn't play a part in Thursday's round is a little ridiculous.
Okay.
Go ahead, and then I want to talk about it.
Here's my thing here. I don't think he was that sick Wednesday because he didn't go to the hospital until Wednesday night. So maybe the fatigue and the sickness caused him to shoot 78 instead of 73.
Yeah.
Maybe it caused him to miss the cut by 7 shots instead of 2 or 3.
I think that's kind of where I'm at.
But
I don't think
but
he missed the cut anyway, I think.
That round on Wednesday was torture to watch. I mean,
Thursday.
no, Wednesday. I mean,
On the North Course.
On the North Course. I mean, did he have anything going right?
Yeah, I mentioned it in the pre-pod about playing the North Course first, and he was not playing well, and he put himself behind the 8 ball. He shot 70, and that's an average round. You can't shoot an average round at the North Course and contend.
So let me say this first. I know you guys are probably going to be like, chill out, like you're Jordan fans. Like I know we're hard on him for a reason. We love the guy to death, literally. I take a bullet for him to see him win another tournament easily. But at the same time, this also makes me very passionate about my opinions towards him. And I'm not saying that it's a disaster. He's the worst golfer in the world. I just think right now he's not playing good golf, which happens to every golfer. It's not the end of the world. I'm not extremely worried yet. I'm a little more worried than I was after the tournament champions for sure, but I'll go into that after.
Yeah.
My point of view here is that the putter is a big problem.
Mm-hmm.
His stroke, I mean, that just from the first putt he took, that 4-footer on Wednesday was just a dead pull. Like his stroke is not there still. I think that makes me a little more confident considering he's one of the best putters ever, considering where he was. Like at his peak, he was one of the best putters of all time. So I think he'll find that stroke again. I just don't think he has it right now. And I also think that, but I mean, just the rest of the game too. I mean, yes, I do think playing a part in the sickness played a part in how many fairways. I mean, he hit 3 fairways on Thursday? I don't think he did. I think he hit like 1 or 2. Like legitimately, I remember seeing him hit 1 fairway and I watched the entire round.
It was ugly.
But
I believe it was
that could have been just fatigue and him not caring, essentially. I don't know. I think there's a lot to dive into, but I think at the same time, a lot of it's diving into it for no reason because it's just like it was just a bad round of golf.
He failed a big test I had coming into this week. I talked about it in the pre-pod. Making the short putts at Kapalua aren't that difficult, and he made pretty much all of them. Then he goes to Pella Greens this week and misses all of them. I think this week was the big test because you don't make a lot of short putts at Torrey, and he unfortunately fell into that. I mean, he made him at Kapalua, didn't make him this week. So step back with the putter. And then Dan mentioned it. Dan didn't think he played that horribly. I also thought round 2 at the South Course, the first 7 holes, I actually thought he played pretty well. I mean, he made the double bogey at 7, where he pushed the iron like 5 yards too far, duffed the chip, and missed a short putt. I thought up until that point through 7 holes, he was playing pretty decently well. He just wasn't getting any putts to fall, unsurprisingly. And then he went to the back 9 and he completely fell apart. But I thought he honestly played decently for a period of time.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go kind of with this next, is that I have to admit now that the putter is like, that's a problem.
Poor.
It's because he made nothing. Like I can't think of one time where I'm like, oh wow, 12-footer in the hole. Nothing.
It was
right.
Ugly. It was really ugly.
But
and his irons weren't good at it. I mean, it was just overall a complete horror show. I mean, it was tough to watch.
I think Dan mentioned this on Twitter. I thought his irons, he had some good shots. Let's not. I mean, 18 at the North Course was the hardest hole. He birdied it. He hit it to what, 4 feet? He hit some okay shots, but I mean, obviously the dispersion is still too wide.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought the irons I felt better about them than I did at Century. Like I felt like there were enough swings where I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And he kept struggling with the same thing, which was, I think, just a bit of a block right, which is a lot of just tournament momentum and tournament reps. Because he hit a couple good mid to long iron shots, and honestly, the wedges were actually pretty decent this week. there weren't any like 95-yard shots ending up 45 feet from the hole. I think he just made a couple. I think on 7 on Thursday, he tried to force the issue and made a mistake. And then he couldn't make a 5. Like he just couldn't make a 5-footer, so there was no momentum to be gained. But also like he's just not that good at Torrey, right? Like he's never played this event well. So moving on to Pebble, I think he's got a little bit of time to work on some stuff and get ready to go have a good week done.
Yeah, so here's my level of worriness here. We talked about this before. There are 3 stages to my test. You have to pass one of them. The first stage is playing well at the Century. If you can play well at the Tournament Champions, just make a lot of birdies, your game's in a good spot, right? Like unless you just have a really good week. And he failed that test, but that's fine because that doesn't really test where your game's at. I don't think he played horrible at Century. He just didn't make as many birdies as he needed to. Second set to test is Torrey Pines because Torrey Pines really exploits the weaknesses in your game, and it did for Jordan. And the third stage, which he also failed, and the third stage, which he absolutely has to pass for me not panic, is he's got to play well at courses he has in the past. If he goes and miscuts at either one of these next 2 tournaments, and then the other one finishes like tied for 42nd, that's a problem. If he goes Pebble. Miscut at Pebble and then a T42 at Phoenix, that's an issue because those are 2 courses that fit his game relatively well. Especially Pebble. If he miscuts at Pebble, there's no excuse for that. I mean, it's a horrible field at a course that he plays very well. So there's just no excuse. I mean, it's Jordan Spieth against the field next week. I don't care how bad he's been playing. DJ isn't playing. He should win next week. Like that's.
I think Patrick Cantlay would have something to say about that.
Is Patrick Cantlay playing next week?
Yeah. So
Same
is
with
Berger. So is Zalatoris. All players that are playing way better than Jordan right now. But
even
of course,
Justin Rose, J-Day, a lot of dudes playing better than Spieth right now.
Yeah.
Essentially, Jordan Spieth needs to play well next week, is what I'm saying.
I get it. I think anytime Jordan tees it up, we have the feeling it's Jordan Spieth against the world. Besides maybe Torrey Pines, because I think we've seen enough of Jordan Spieth at Torrey Pines.
Yeah, this is a good time to make a run, though. You know what I'm saying? Like this is where you should get your momentum going into the Masters.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, so
we're only 2 months away.
here's my. I wanted to touch on that too. This is the best. I mean, it would have to be literally a perfect scenario in the future because we already know basically what's looking like for the next 10 years. This is the best major championship schedule Jordan Spieth is ever going to have. He can win at all 4 of these courses, which is just not going to happen very often because the U.S. Open course is usually not going to fit his game. And the PGA is kind of a toss-up, and the PGA and U.S. Open both fit his game very well. It would be disappointing to see him go on another slump this year over any other year specifically because of that stature. This is the best chance I think he has to win the PGA in the next few years, which is another reason why I really would like to see something out of him in the next few weeks just to give me some glimmer of, because I really haven't seen anything great from him since the Open, really.
Yeah. I mean, the first 2 rounds at CJ Cup
we're good.
Like it's there. And then he showed up he had a pretty decent round Sunday. He didn't do anything Saturday, but I mean, you're right. Like this is like time to start making kind of a move on FedEx, OWGR. I mean, the Masters are coming. Like we're less than 10 weeks from Augusta. And I think always with Spieth, there's going to be some sort of thought about a slump because of what happened for 3 years, right? But I think the good players know how to kind of adjust and make some sort of flip the switch on their game a little bit. Obviously, DJ's like the king at that, can shoot 80-80 and then win a couple weeks later. But I think what I want to see, and we'll get into it more during the Pebble preview, and I want to see him score. like where are the birdies at? You know what I'm saying? Like that he's just not playing well, and he's not even saving par well either. Like it's just kind of there's a lot of easy pars, and then there's just like a boring bogey or like take advantage of a par 5 birdie. He's not making it like just not scoring in the way that he can. And hopefully we get to see a little bit more of that at Pebble. I mean, I already know he's going to shoot like a 2 under on Monterey Peninsula, which is like the easiest course out there. That's going to be frustrating, but
as Phil says, when the putts go down, the thumbs are going to go up. And
I knew you were going to use that. You've been saying that in the chat the entire week. I knew you were going to say that.
The putts are just not going down. And he's kind of like JT in the fact that when those two start making putts, you can shake your head all you want. But when those guys are missing every single putt, they're just like slowly cruising along. They're very streaky players. They need momentum, and Jordan's got none of it because he's not making anything. And you just can't survive missing everything inside 6 feet. You just can't. Will the putts go down at Pebble? I don't know, but I mean, maybe
so
Jake will help him out a little bit.
So here is a thing I would like to bring up. I've grown up as a negative sports fan for a reasonable reason. I grew up.
You're a Dolphins fan.
I grew up a Dolphins fan. I had to watch the Rangers lose the Stanley Cup after sending literally 4 of the 6 games to double overtime, where they just easily could have won the series and lost 4-1. I have had a lot of misfortunes in my sports career besides Jordan Spieth from 2015 to 2018, essentially. I do have one hint of positivity to get from all of this. This very week, 52 weeks ago, this was the exact same thing we were thinking. I mean, he was at the bottom of the bottom. He had just got to Torrey Pines, maybe worse
last year.
And then he went on quite a run in which he should have won 2 tournaments at least. I mean, he only won 1, but I mean, he was in contention every week. So anything can happen in 1 week, especially when he he hasn't played a course he likes since essentially
the Open.
So 52 weeks ago, he was 92nd in the world. We're sitting at, I think, 14th. Things could be a lot worse. And he's not missing the cut every week. Now, if he starts to, as you said, if he misses the cut at Pebble, misses the cut at Waste Management, then the panic is starting to, go off. But I mean, we could be in a much worse spot.
We could. And that's why I want to say. I think as much as fans always love to jump to conclusions because they want instant gratification, as I do in the moment, which is why I record this after the tournament so that I have time to gather my thoughts.
Yeah, become a reasonable. You're not.
I go from unreasonable to reasonable within 3 hours. There is a lot to look forward to in this season. Jordan Spieth is coming up on a stretch that he has dominated in the past. He is about to play a bunch of courses that he loves, up into including my favorite course of the year besides Muirfield, the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill, which he is now making an annual stop, which I am so excited about. That's the one tournament I watch every year that Jordan doesn't play. Now he is, obviously, but before he didn't play, that was one tournament I really cared about when he didn't play because it was just so good. And he said he loves it and he played well. I think he could win there someday. So no more Mexico.
You're being the eternal optimist after a 78 on the
I'm the only way I'll survive these next few weeks is if I look for the absolute positives in this, even though it's been a disaster recently. I'll put that there, but we have things to look forward to. We have major courses we like. And of course the elephant in the room, the Masters, is only 2 months away. So
another commercial aired today.
Oh yes.
We're getting closer. Before we wrap it up here, this could be the last time we are recapping. Well, it's the first time since we just started this podcast, but it could also be the last time we're recapping a Farmers Insurance Open. Jordan Spieth might not play Torrey Pines ever again until the next U.S. Open comes there. I assume they'll be getting another one.
to 2031, I think it is.
We've crapped on Torrey quite a bit, but I will say if there's one thing I'll miss about Torrey Pines if Jordan doesn't play it, it produces insanely good golf. We saw it again this week. And it's one of the only weeks of the year where I'm like, okay, Jordan can shoot an average round and still be in the tournament. The problem is he doesn't shoot average rounds. He sucks at it. So I'll leave it at that. Do you guys have any closing thoughts on Torrey Pines, which we might not see again for a while?
So my opinion on Torrey Pines has changed greatly this week.
Luke List.
After Luke List took the victory. And we won't get into why Luke List is now a top 3 favorite golfer of mine, but it just produces such good golf tournaments. Like, when are you ever going to have a player finish tied for the lead an hour and a half before the leaders finish and still have a chance to win? I mean,
never.
That's the one good thing about Torrey Pines, besides obviously Luke List being a champion there.
It gets a good leaderboard too.
And that is what I love about
was there.
The tournaments like this, where I personally think the best player won this week. I think Luke List was the best player this week. I think that Torrey Pines usually provides the best player to win. And I think that you can Luke List shot 65 at the South Course on Thursday, or 67 at the South Course on Thursday. That's a damn good round. And then he shot 66 on Sunday.
He shot 66
on Sunday. Yeah.
So he beat Jordan by 12.
Yes, correct.
Sorry.
So, it produces good winners, and I think it makes for a great golf tournament. And I think as we say goodbye to Torrey Pines, hopefully,
if he doesn't say goodbye after this year, I'm going to stop tracking.
I'm going to stop tracking. It's just absolutely horrible torture. Stop tracking Torrey Pines. That is, I'll have to stop. It's mental torture. But before we leave and before Dan gives his final thoughts, I'm on a heater right now. If you guys aren't tailing me, I mean, come on. Grayson Sig, I didn't know who that was 3 weeks ago. And he top 40'd for me with a clutch, like, what was it, 69, shot 3 under in the final round? I mean, thank you. And I've closed the gap on Dan to around $300. And Jordan is still over 12. Jordan, you need to pick like a minus 300 next week and just get yourself on the board. But I continue to stay positive, and I'm coming for an outright next week because, yes, I mean, come on. But yeah.
You should speak against the world, so maybe you should go with Jordan next week.
I will definitely not be putting fake or real money on Jordan Spieth for the near future. Not because he sucks, but just because like it's too painful. I mean, can you imagine?
No, it's because he sucks. Well,
it is, but I mean, can you imagine losing actual real American dollars and also losing like a tournament, like just a blatant choke? That would be horrible. Can you imagine if you also had money on him to win the Charles Schwab last year? Like that would have been horrible.
To the Optimist fans as well, he does not actually suck. He's 14th in the world. He sucked at Torrey Pines, but he does not actually suck.
He sucked recently, but like that's just us being hard on him. Like,
yeah, but I think
he's a top 15 golfer in the world. Like, you just gotta.
Of the three of us, Dan is by far the biggest Torrey Pines supporter. So I think you should wrap
Not
up.
anymore. Not anymore. I'm a full-time supporter. Not for Jordan. Jordan should not play there again. But I will be voting for Torrey Pines to be a top 5 golf course in the world in next year's Golf Magazine or whatever it is, if I can find a way to do that. So that's it. We're gonna try and keep. I think Dan has to give his thoughts, but we are gonna try and keep these like recaps short because we're also gonna have an episode in 2 days out from the time you get this on the Pebble. So, yeah.
Yeah, another good leaderboard that Torrey Pines throws at us at the end of the week. I mean, I was watching till the end, partly because I had a bet involved that, of course, didn't hit. I needed Zalatoris to win that playoff, but List got him with a pretty darn good birdie there on hole number 73. But like it was an entertaining finish, even though, I didn't, I wouldn't normally tune in to watch Zalatoris and Luke List, but nonetheless, another poor Spieth week at Torrey Pines, and unfortunately for Jordan and I, we didn't get anything going. But I think we gotta start looking at those top 40 bets a little bit more, because that seems to
Many
be where the money's
moons
at.
since I've got anything going.
And unfortunately for Bob, there's no Ricky missed cut bet next week.
Right, he doesn't play. Damn it.
So that is
I've already said I'm riding the Ricky missed cut until he actually makes a cut. So you already know whatever the odds are. Oh, they're probably going to be good at Phoenix. Ooh, that could be.
Might be favored to miss the cut, honestly.
No way. At Phoenix is a course he plays well at. I would love to get like a plus 150 there, because I will be nuking it. I'm talking like 80% of my coins on Ricky to miss cut until he makes a cut. He's got to prove to me, because I mean, I will say, as much as that was an electric miscut for Ricky, you hate to see it happen like that. I mean, he's definitely searching for some stuff right now, and I don't hate Ricky by any means. I mean, he's provided me some nice go get that cash points, but you hope to see him. You hope to see him figure it out soon.
I have two things actually. One on Ricky. I think if you can say you're going to bet him to miss the cut at the Waste Management, I think he's actually going to play well at the Waste Management. He played well at the North Course, which is an easy course. Obviously, it went south at the South Course where he missed the cut, but he played well on the easy North Course. There you go, Dan. And then Luke List. Not only did he make you a ton of money, he didn't hit a golf shot he was on the range hitting a ton of golf shots, but he had an hour and a half after his round finished, went out there and just stones made that birdie on 18. That was pretty impressive.
Probably the easiest birdie of his life, and the biggest one, right? I mean, that wedge was so good, just to put it to 8 inches. And good for him. I think he's 37, and now he's going to the Masters. After the interview with Amanda Balionis, I think the cameras caught him over caught his wife saying like, "Hey, you're going to the Masters." So that's a big deal for a lot of people who are getting their first win on tour, especially if they're outside of the top 50 in the OWGR. And I think he's now 55. I mean, he's going to Augusta anyway, but
I think I heard he lives in Augusta as well. I think he said he was going to like be sleeping in his own bed and then go to the Masters, awesome. Which is pretty sick.
It's a cool story for sure. But
anything else there, Robert?
Just pray he
On
plays
the
well next
Pebble.
week. For my sanity, I really hope he plays well this week. I mean,
one more quick thing.
Okay, Dan.
There we go. Zalatoris has that putting stroke is questionable at best.
No, Zalatoris, I mean, he legitimately is as close to, I think, a amateur Saturday putter as it comes.
Wow.
But he is going to be a superstar when he figures that out, because his ball striking is absolutely ridiculous. He's going to figure that out eventually.
Yeah.
He works too hard. He will figure that out.
I mean, he did a figure 8 on the last putt in regulation. Nick Faldo read it perfect. I know he can't hear Nick Faldo on the course, but it's uphill.
I wish we couldn't hear Nick Faldo, honestly. I wish we didn't have to listen to him.
You're not a Nick Faldo guy?
I
like Nick Faldo.
Please get Phil in there. As Phil hangs it up, get Phil in there.
Phil would beat anybody, I think. Anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up.
That's a question for another day.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Phil will be in the booth at one point. He has to be, right? He was there for the match.
He will. He's got to be.
Anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if Zalatoris shows up at Pebble.
He's there.
Yeah,
Oh, you
no, I
mean
mean
win?
like on the leaderboard.
No, I mean it's as Bob said, it's a watered down field.
Yeah, could be Spieth Zalatoris pairing too. If you listen
Oh
to
no,
the
we're gonna get blown
Sunday
out.
the Sunday conversation, what are they called? With Caleb Presley.
Sunday.
Oh, that was
like,
hilarious. Are
That
you
was
kidding
so
me?
funny and shocking too. Spieth doesn't do
Very
stuff like
shocking.
that.
I did not expect that from him at all, but I'll take it. That was pretty good.
But that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I think. So,
But we're on to Pebble. We are
Yeah.
on to Pebble. And with that, we will say goodbye to Torrey Pines, hopefully forever for Jordan Spieth. Hopefully you never see Torrey Pines in another Go Get That podcast episode title ever again. But I think that's all we have until 2 days from now. We're getting into that stretch of the season, 2 episodes a week. So we're on the grind for you guys. I do not know how many of you guys will be in the mood to listen to us this week. So that's understandable, just because, like, who wants to hear about us talk about Jordan sucking when everyone knows what everyone watched?
I will say I get a lot of questions on Instagram when he plays
I do
for
too.
what's going on. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Hopefully you
Yeah,
guys enjoy
we'll
our
see.
thoughts.
Yeah. All right. Well, should be it. And we'll see you on Wednesday for the next episode. Peace.